Yeah. So we discussed about the all the Docker file, guys. So Docker volume, Docker commands. So Docker creation, Docker using host file, two containers. Something like we can create the Docker volumes and we can attach to the index to this file, right? So this is nothing but a Docker volume. So so this is nothing but a bounded mounted volumes. Means so we can create a directory in the EC2 instance and attach it to the containers. So whatever the deployment or whatever the app logs, so whatever the app logs, right? For example, Facebook is writing the app logs. Those app logs will be copied to write it under the directory. You can create your own directory in the EC2 instance and you can mount it to the Docker container. So you can mount it to the Docker container. Whatever the logs will be writing in the directory in this directory, guys. Guys, understood? This is nothing but a Docker container. So host directory mounting to the Docker container. We already know, right? How to mount this Docker mounting host directory mounting with the Docker container. Right, we discussed about the virtualization, containerization, Docker, advantage of the Docker, Docker setup, Docker terminology, Docker file, Docker image, Docker hub, Docker container, right? Docker image, image commands, Docker container commands. So writing a Docker file, Docker volumes, or named volumes, bind mounting volumes, right? We discussed about, and we discussed about the real world so real world application also. Something like we have two types of applications. One is a monolithic application and a microservice application. And we already know about the monolithic. What is monolithic application? What is a microservice application? So nowadays every application will be deployed under the monolithic or microservice deployment. Right, guys? So microservice based application, for example, make my trip or a e-commerce website, Flipkart or Amazon. So those are they are using the microservice based application. For example, yeah, products API, cart API, payments API, tracking API. For example, these are the four containers. Four containers are running in the EC2 instance. So for example, the cart API container is crashes or cart API Docker container is uh, the the container is in crashed or down. So how do you know this cart API is down or not? Who will validate this? Who will who will validate this and who will know to whom? Right, guys. So for that purpose, so there is no. If you use the containerization, if you use the Docker container, we don't know. So there is no auto healing. If cart API is crashed, so it will not auto healing. So something like if the cart API is having the something like a huge traffic is came into the cart API. So only one container. So that container sustains only the 10,000 people. But if 10,000 crashes, I want to create another container. I want to create another container for the traffic, right? So the what are the drawbacks in the container? There is no auto healing and there is no auto scaling concept. So there is no auto healing and auto scaling. So we need a solution to automate this auto healing and who are providing the auto healing and auto scaling capabilities. That is nothing but a container orchestration. Who are providing the container orchestration? Docker is the containerization is the solution. Who provides the container solution? Docker company provides the containerization solution. So right, so this so we need to maintain this. We need to orchestrate these containers. A Docker swarm will come up to the picture. But so Docker some having uh, not popular because of they have a huge drop. They have some drawbacks. That's the reason Docker Swarm is not popular for the orchestration containerization tool. So who is popular? The Kubernetes is the popular for the Docker container orchestration purpose. So it's a containerization. It's a containerization tool. Okay, guys, understood? So in the real world, applications are getting developed using the microservice architecture. In microservice architecture, several APIs will be available. Every API is a project and it should run in a container. Running multiple containers manually for all APIs is difficult to job. To solve this problem, Docker Compose came into the picture. So Docker Compose is a tool which is used to manage multi-container based application. Using Docker Compose, we can define, deploy multi-container based on applications. Right. So Docker Compose is a not popular for the container orchestration. So who is the popular? Kubernetes is the popular for the containerization orchestration. Yes, understood. So you see, so managing the multiple containers is difficult, right? So we can use the Docker SAM, something like these Docker containers need to connect the DB container. So this tracking API Docker container is connect to the Redis container. Okay. So you already know the Docker file, how to create the Docker file, right? Kubernetes. What is the solution? Solution is Kubernetes. Kubernetes versus Docker. Kubernetes, the task. So we'll call it to the app development, and app development create a containers. So container launches the apps on the Kubernetes. Okay. Six quick steps to get you started with Kubernetes. So what are the six quick steps? What are those? Step one, learn fundamentals. Step two, explore the Kubernetes concept. Step three, set up a local Kubernetes environment. Step four, dive into deployments and services. Step five, explore namespaces and RBAC. Six, seven, practice and experiment. Right, guys? So if you do these six steps, you will be the Kubernetes administrator. Okay, so not get started automatically. Single host nature of your Docker container. Auto healing, there is no auto scaling. There is no auto scaling. Default feature is load balancing. Right, auto scaling. So enterprise Docker is a simple platform. It does not support the enterprise level when we deal with the big application. So load balancing, firewall, auto scaling, healing, API gateways. Who is solving these problems? Kubernetes. Kubernetes solve all the problems. Who is solving these problems? Kubernetes. In general, it's a matter node architecture. It's a master node architecture. Cluster is nothing but group of nodes, master nodes and worker nodes. Quality node, immediately it will create the new node or new pod. Replication controller, replica set. How many contents we need to create. If it is crashes, if the based on the replica set, for example our application, we needed three containers. Replica set set to three containers. So whenever it crashes, right, it will create a new container. It will create a new container. Replica set YAML file, replication controller file, ingress, increase healing, Kubernetes control, fix the damage. So what is the meaning of auto healing? What is the meaning of auto healing? Container goes down. As feature called as a auto healing, it goes down, it automatically start a new container. Right? Auto healing means rolled out is nothing but a rolled out a new container. Kubernetes rolled out a new container, new pod or container going down. Kubernetes, who created the Kubernetes, guys? Kubernetes created by the Google with the Borg language. It is not an open source tool, even a better solution, enterprise level orchestration platform. Kubernetes, guys. So Kubernetes is an orchestration engine. It is an open source software. Kubernetes is used to manage containers of our applications. Kubernetes will take care of the container deployment, scaling, descaling, containers, load balancing. Kubernetes is not replacement for the Docker. Kubernetes is not replacement for the Docker. Kubernetes is the replacement for the Docker SAM. What is that, guys? Kubernetes is replacement for the Docker SAM. Kubernetes developed by the Google and donated to CNCF in 2014. So what is CNCF, guys? CNCF. CNCF is nothing but a Cloud Native Compute Foundation. What is that, guys? Cloud Native Compute Foundation. I did the CKA exam. CKA. CNCF. Sure, guys. What is CNCF? CNCF is nothing but a cloud native and computer foundation. Right, guys? So here you can create the exam. So you want to write to the Kubernetes exam, you want to certify the Kubernetes, you can get the voucher from the CNCF and you can write the exams. Okay. So certified Kubernetes. Certification. Yeah. So what are the certifications available for the Kubernetes? Who are providing the Kubernetes certifications? Kubernetes certification provided by the CNCF, Cloud Native Compute Foundation. So certified Kubernetes administrator, certified Kubernetes application developer, certified Kubernetes security specialist, certified and cloud native associate, so Kubernetes and cloud security associate, Prometheus certified associate, ISTO certified associate, so certified Arco project associate, GitOps certified associate, certified Backstage associate, Open Terminal telemetry certified associate, so QView certified associate. Okay. So for example, if you want to write the exam on the CK. What is this guy? Certified Kubernetes Administrator. The Certified Kubernetes Administrator program is so separated by the CNCF in partnership with the Linux Foundation. Partnership with the Linux Foundation. This certification is designed for a professional looking to demonstrate their hands-on Kubernetes skills. CK is the performance-based exam where candidates interact with the command line, solve real-world challenges, not just multiple choice questions. Earning this certification validates your ability to administrate a Kubernetes cluster and increasing a valuable skill set as a Kubernetes adoption strikeouts, guys. Okay. Okay. So if you want to write the exam, right, you will. So guys, cost is how much dollars? $445. So when I write, right, that time $400 only. Canceling. So the exam of the Kubernetes 445 into 87. Yeah. So almost to 38,000 guys. If you want to write the Kubernetes CK exam, you need to pay the 38,750 guys. Understood? Yeah. So this is nothing but a CNCF. CNCF provided the certification. Guys, understood? Yeah. So developed by the Google and donated to CNCF in 2014. CNCF means Cloud Native Compute Foundation. Kubernetes software developed by using the Go language. Which language, guys? So Kubernetes software developed by the Go language. Kubernetes version 1.0 is released to market in the year of 2015. So when it was released, guys, it was released on 2015. It was 2015. Docker Swarm versus Kubernetes. So both are the same tools. It is used to orchestrate the containers. It is used to orchestrate the containers. Docker Swarm and Kubernetes. So what is the difference between Docker Swarm and Kubernetes? So no auto scaling. So there is a auto scaling. Kubernetes they provided auto scaling. So Docker Swarm good community, great active community. While by using Docker SAM, it will be easy to start the cluster, but by using Kubernetes, difficult to start the cluster. So limited to the Docker API's capabilities can overcome constraints of the Docker and Docker API. Does not have a much experience with the production deployment at scale, deployed at scale more often among the organizations. So Kubernetes features. So Kubernetes official website is, so what is the official website guys? Kubernetes.io. What is that? Kubernetes.io is the Kubernetes.io is the official documentation for the Kubernetes. Kubernetes is also known as K8s, is an open source system for automating deployment, scaling, and managing of the containerized applications. Managing of the containerized application. It's a group. It groups containers that make up an application into logical units for easy management and discovery. Kubernetes built upon 15 years of experience running the production workload at Google, combined with the best of breed ideas and practices from the community. So plant scale designed on the same principles that allow Google to run billions of containers a week, Kubernetes can scale without increasing your operations. So never outgrow, run Kubernetes anywhere. Kubernetes is an open source giving you to the freedom to take advantage of a on-premises. We can execute on the on-premises, hybrid or a public cloud infrastructure, letting you effortlessly move workloads where it matters you guys. So visit download the section. How do you download the Kubernetes guys? Okay. So what are the advantages? What are the features of Kubernetes? Automated rollouts and rollbacks, service discovery and load balancing, storage orchestration, self-healing, secret and configuration management, automatic bin packaging, both batch execution, horizontal scaling, IPv for dual stack, designed for the extensively. Designed for the extensively. Guys understood? So these are the features of the Kubernetes. What is that key features? Automated scheduling. Automated, we can schedule that. Self-healing capabilities, automated rollouts and rollbacks, load balancing, service discovery, container orchestration. Okay. So Kubernetes feature. Kubernetes providing advanced scheduler concept to launch container depends on our requirement. Restarts container that fail, replaces, reschedules containers when node dies, kills container that does not respond to your user-defined health check. It does not advertise them to client until they are ready to sell. Restarts containers that fails. If it will automatically restart if it is fail. Replace and reschedule container when node dies. If node is died, it will automatically replaces or reschedule the containers. Kill the containers that does not respond to your user defined health check. So and does not advertise them to client until they are ready to serve. If something goes wrong, Kubernetes will roll back the changes for you. Take advantage of growing ecosystem of the development solutions. Scale your applications up and down with a small with a simple command. So with a UI or automatically based on the CPU usage. So note in Docker SAM load balancing is manual process where Kubernetes supports auto scaling. Where Kubernetes supports auto scaling. So what are the architecture of the Kubernetes? What is the Kubernetes architecture? Kubernetes works on cluster model. In Kubernetes cluster, we have master nodes and worker nodes. In Kubernetes cluster, so we have a master node and a worker node. Master node, worker node. So what are the architecture? What components are available? So what are the components to use it? Which components to use it? Master node, worker node, API server, control manager, etcd, pods, containers, Docker runtime, kubelet, kubeproxy, kubectl. What these all are? What are these all are? What is a master node? What is a master node or a control plane? What is a worker node or a data node, data plane, or API server? What is API server? What is controller? What is etcd? What is pods? What is containers? What is Docker runtime? What is kubelet? What is kubeproxy? And what is kubectl? So what is a scheduler? It will schedule for execution which are unscheduled based on the etcd. What is a scheduler? Yeah, here you see the Kubernetes architecture. So what is that? The Kubernetes architecture is nothing but so what this is? This is a Kubernetes architecture. What is this, guys? This is a Kubernetes architecture. Press one. Yeah, guys. So what is the architecture of the Kubernetes? The Kubernetes architecture. Kubernetes is a container orchestration tool. What is that, guys? So what is a cluster, guys? Guys, what is a cluster? Guys, what is cluster? Hmm. Yeah. So Kubernetes cluster. What is Kubernetes cluster, guys? Kubernetes cluster is nothing but a cluster is nothing but a group of nodes. What is that, guys? Cluster is nothing but a group of nodes. So what this is? This is a Kubernetes cluster. A Kubernetes cluster contains group of node. A node is nothing but a EC2 instance. So what is that, guys? A node is nothing but a EC2 instance. A node is nothing but a instance. Instance is nothing but a node. Okay. So instance is nothing but node. Guys, understood? So what this is a worker node one. So this is what this is. This is worker node one and worker node two. So worker node one and worker node two. What this is? This is a what this is? This is a control plane or a master. So what this is, guys? This is a control plane or a master node. So worker node. So worker node is nothing but a your containers will be your application. Your application will be deployed under the containers. Your application will be deployed under the containers. So here we call it as a pod. So pod is nothing but a pod contains the container. A pod contains the container. What is a pod? I will tell you. It's a logical unit. It's a logical unit. So this is the a pod. A pod contains the container. CL. A pod contains the
Sir,
container. Right?
sir,
Yeah.
once again repeat. Sir.
Hello?
Repeat once again. Worker node.
Worker node. Please tell me, Ramakrishna.
Sir, worker node, about worker node is explained, sir.
Worker node.
Contains,
Worker node contains your application. For example, you deployed your application, RStudio application, right? Where you deployed your application, RStudio application in the Shiny app. So, for example, so you have a how many environments? You have a dev environment, you have a QA environment, you have a production environment, right? So your application is deployed under the dev environment. Your application will be deployed under the QA environment. Your application will be deployed under the production environment. The worker node is nothing but a your application deployed environment. Understood? Understood? Ramki. A worker node is nothing but a prod environment or a dev environment or a QA environment. So we want to manage these nodes, right? Who will this manage nodes? We will manage those in the master node. Understood? Ramki?
okay, okay.
Okay. Your application is deployed under the worker node. So who will manage this your application? So for example, facebook.com, fb.com. So this was deployed under your worker node. So who are checking this? Who are accessing this? Yes. So who are accessing these worker nodes? Ramki, who are accessing these worker nodes?
Users, sir.
End user, right?
Yes,
End user means ours. So we
yes.
are the end user for the Facebook, right? So who are accessing this website? This website is accessing by the end user. End user is connected to this. For example, for the load balancing purpose, you deployed here also. What is that? fb.com. fb.com. Understood? So these all are the end users. So the end users will be right. Okay. The end users will be deployed. The end user will be validating under the right. The end users will be validating. The end users will be using your worker node containers. So that application will be deployed under the worker node container. Understood, guys? So a worker node contains what a control plane contains, what worker node contains. I will tell. So for example, this is worker node or this is a master node or a control plane. What this is? This is a master node or control plane. What this is? This is a master node or a control plane. So what it contains? What is master node? So who will manage the worker nodes? Master node will manage the worker nodes. So what are the attributes are there in the worker node? How it will be managed the worker node? Right? So what are the components are there? The components are API server. What is that, guys? API server and scheduler. So what is that, guys? The scheduler. So scheduler. Next, controller hyphen manager. So what is that? Controller manager. Controller manager. The next one is HCD. What is that, guys? Controller manager HCD. Right. So it will connect to the so it will connect to the worker node. For example, we have only one worker node. For example. So how many worker nodes we have? So we have only one worker node. So worker node one. So in the worker node one, what are the components are there? So what are the components are there? The components. So pod, pod, a pod. So in this pod contains only one container, only one container. This pod contains the three containers. So how many containers? This pod contains the three containers, right? And this is so if you want to run the Docker container, right? Definitely we need to run the Docker
Sir, pod
Docker
and EC2
service
connection.
or daemon. Huh?
Pod means what, sir?
Sorry,
Pod.
pod?
Pod కూడా ఒక EC2 container, sir. EC2
No, no,
instance.
no. Pod is a logical unit. I will tell you what is pod. Okay, pod. I will tell you pod. So in Kubernetes, a concept called as a logical unit is called as a pod. In that pod, containers are running. Why pod? I will tell you. Okay. Yeah. So what this is? This is a kubelet and this is a kube proxy. What is that, guys? Kubelet and kube proxy. What is kubelet? Kubelet. What is that, guys? Kubelet to cube proxy. This is a kubelet and a kube proxy. So kubelet is nothing but it's a agent. What it is? Kubelet is a agent which verifies verifies if the pod is running or not, and the container is running or not. Okay, so it will check the continuously. It will check continuously and it will send the information to API server. So this will send the information to API server. Okay, API server. Now you understood what is API server? What is scheduler? What is controller? What is etcd? Right. So this is nothing but a Kubernetes cluster. This is nothing but a multiple nodes is nothing but a Kubernetes cluster. So in that Kubernetes cluster, who will manage these pods, containers, and everything? So the managed by the master node having the components, API server, scheduler, control manager, etcd. Okay. So yeah, so how you can interact with this? How you can interact with this APIs, this master node, guys. So how we can interact with this master node? How you can interact with this master node? So how you are interacting with your AWS console, guys? Either GUI or CLI. Either GUI or CLI. Right? GUI or CLI. Right? GUI, CLI. What is GUI? A GUI is nothing but a open lens. What is that, guys? Open lens. Yeah, this is the symbol, guys. Yeah, you see, ultimate Kubernetes GUI, open lens ID, and a dashboard. So what is this, guys? So for example, this is the a dashboard, right? We can connect to this and so we can use the. So here you see, guys. So this is the OpenLens dashboard. How you can interact with this Kubernetes through GUI. You can interact with this Kubernetes through GUI by using OpenLens. So how you can interact with this through CLI? Use the kubectl command. So what is the kubectl is for CLI and OpenLens is for GUI. So just it's installed in the Windows or software, right? Software for CLI, how you can interact with guys? You can interact with the CLI. You need a remote host. In that remote host, you can install the kubectl. Then you can connect from this through the CCD instance. Through this CC, this is the remote EC2 instance. So remote EC2 instance. So from this remote EC2 instance to you can connect the so that Kubernetes cluster. It's connect from the Kubernetes cluster. So whenever you run the kubectl command, right? So this kubectl command will listen the API server through a lens also. The GUI also, firstly it will listen the API server. API server will inform to the HCD. HCD is the database. So it will store it under the database. Then it will inform to the scheduler. Scheduler will inform to the controller. So if the pod is running, it's okay. If the pod is crashes, so it will inform to the controller. Controller will inform to the scheduler. Scheduler will create the container by using the kubelet. Who told that one container is not running the kubelet service? Kubelet is the agent service. It will monitor from the worker node to master node continuously. If something goes wrong on the worker node, who will inform us? The kubelet will inform to the master node. A master node will inform to the people, the kubelet, something like this service is not running. The service is not running. Guys understood? Guys understood?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. Okay. So tomorrow we'll show you. So we'll show you something like what is API server, what is scheduler, what is controller, what is HCD, what is pod, what is Docker, what is kubelet, kubeproxy, and we'll install the Kubernetes on manual or on-premise environment or a cloud environment. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So yeah, so to communicate with the Kubernetes, so we have two options. One is UI and the other one is kubectl command. So master node manages the worker nodes in the cluster. It will assign tasks to the worker nodes for the execution. Worker node will run the tasks which are assigned by the master node, which are assigned by the master node. Guys understood? What is API server? What is HCD? So we'll discuss tomorrow, guys. So what is a Kubernetes cluster separate? How you can set up the Kubernetes? Kubernetes cluster we can set up in multiple ways. So one is a self-managed Kubernetes cluster or a managed provider managed Kubernetes cluster. Who are the providers? Cloud provider. Cloud provider also provides the Kubernetes cluster. What those are? EKS, AKS, GKE, OKE, IKE. These all are the provider managed Kubernetes cluster. So self-managed Kubernetes cluster. So we can install the Kubernetes cluster, Kubernetes master node and worker node in the same mission, same node. That is nothing but a mini kube. So we can install the same worker node and master node are on the same mission. We call it as a mini cube. So if you want a two server setup, definitely we need a mini cube. So we did a mini cube, guys. Understood? Okay, guys. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we continue from tomorrow.